Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. This is the Spurs Talk Show with a little bit of a new background on the screen, a little bit of a new background behind it. I've moved the desk around with doing the Joe Rogan curtain drape thing. I hope you are all happy and healthy doing the things you love. Sorry, we're 8 minutes late. We've been having a discussion about all sorts of things in the background. The other man is here. He's just arrived. He's rushed back in. Listen, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to see it, Dave had to pull out last minute, and we replaced him with Jack. I think it's just as good just a perfect swap. It's like taking out Richarlison and seeing. You can't tell the difference. You can't tell the difference. It's getting rid of Richarlison for 4 weeks and knowing you've got Sonny slotting in the 9. It's not a problem whatsoever. How's everybody doing? Smash the like button for me on the video. If you enjoy this sort of content, hit the subscribe button as well. Hit the notification and drop a comment. And throughout the show, I'm going to be dropping Jack's link and Johnny's link as well into the chat. Guys, let's start by saying hello to Johnny. How are you, Johnny? This is Friday. Right. This was going to be Devil's Advocate, and it was going to be the latest rendition of Devil's Advocate that we've ever done, Friday night.
It was, Devil's Advocate, guaranteed to be any day between Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday or Friday, any time between 12 and 10. 12 in the morning, that is. Yeah, so, I'm all right. Unfortunately, Bayern have just equalised them. It's terrible, isn't it? I'm wishing them ill, but can't help it. They were losing 1-0.
They were losing in the league again, were they? Wow.
They were.
Johnny, have you got an ability to dial up your microphone a tiny bit? Is it possible?
My mic?
Because I know the last week's show, people were saying
they couldn't hear me. Maybe that's a good thing.
Not that you couldn't hear you, but it was the quieter of the 3 microphones, sort of thing.
Okay,
so.
There you go.
Perfect.
Is that any better?
Sounds good to me, mate. Sounds very good.
I'll have to get
Jacko, how are you, buddy? Good to see you, mate. Good to see you back on the channel. You all right?
Mate, I'm doing well. Glad to be back. I'm back home in Hertfordshire, ready to watch the Spurs tomorrow. And yeah, late call up. But everyone loves a late call up, and hopefully I'll supply for the people watching.
Jack, not being funny, mate. With that kit, I thought you just had a late call up, to be honest with you.
Oh, mate, do you know what I mean? I was getting ready to late call up. Harry Kane, England debut. I'll represent.
Mate, it's good to see you guys. It's good to have everyone back. I was about to say to take 10 seconds out to say to people in the chat. Any members here? Let's have a look. Sess's Gammy Hammy here. He's not seen a trio this good since Bananarama. Do enjoy your trio lookalikes. Sess's Gammy Hammy. Good to see you, mate.
We know the lead singer is Jack. Eh? He looks exactly like her.
Yeah, well, 100%. Tot Spurs, I think. Good to see you, mate. I forgot your name. I think it's a young fella. I forget your name, mate. But thanks for coming on. Good to see you. Spurs GCTV, evening, Sean, buddy, and panel. Hope you are all well and up for the game tomorrow. I'm going to remember your name in a minute. Tot Spurs. Is it Luke? Is it Nick? It's a short name. I know it's a short name. But good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Chris Agomba's in the house. In a coma. Sorry, mate. We are late. Do apologise. What did we do to the Irish man? He was going to come on, and then he's a friend. He said a friend's knocked on the door and asked him out to play. So he had to.
He's building sandcastles as we speak.
Jacob's in the house as well. Good to see you. Who else we got? Lisa's in the house. Good to see you, Lisa. I hope you're okay from Mexico way. Liston Hines, doesn't Jack look a bit like the wonder kid named Bergval? Yes, he does indeed. Luca Bergval.
Been called worse, to tell you that. So we'll take that today.
Definitely.
And we got Frankie Tottenham over from America, from Florida, I think it is. Good to see you, mate. And Steady as Shark and Talking Beer is also here. Good to see you all, guys. Right, let's get straight in. 104 people in the house on the Friday night. It's not often we do a Friday night show, so smash those like buttons and all that stuff. Let's get straight in. Before I get you boys, I just want to. I've got a whole bunch of tabs open, and I need to start with my man Johnny's interesting little tweet. I saw it earlier, mate, and I was like, I'm going to bookmark this bad boy, and I'm going to bring it up. It's interesting to see that Spurs' XGA, which is, for those of you who don't know, expected goals against of 1.74 is the worst we've ever had in a season since its inception, since the stats inception, I guess that is. Yeah. It's the 6th worst in the league, yet we sit 5th despite those awful numbers due to one man only, in my honest opinion, Vicario. What a keeper. Congratulations on him. Mate, it's a wonderful tweet. little bit of stats, little bit of recognition and acknowledgement. I really appreciate that sort of tweet from you, Johnny. Your tweet game is at it's peaking right now. A bit like Nvidia's share price. Let me ask this, Johnny. Listen, I don't want to get the mood off on a bad state, but I think it's a relevant question straight off the bat. Is Vicario if Vicario is our best player this year, and I think he could make the argument he is, then is that a good thing or a bad thing that your goalkeeper is doing his job, excelling, exceeding expectations, whatever? But ultimately, if he was playing to a slightly lower level, which could still be within his sort of reasonable range, Tottenham wouldn't be doing so good. So I don't know how to interpret the fact that the best goalkeeper in London this year is our goalkeeper. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think, look, let's put some perspective on the goalkeeper of the year. I mean, I've never heard anything.
London's goalkeeper of the year.
Goalkeeper of the year. I've never heard anything so farcical in all my life. There's a third of the season to go. He's been unbelievable. But let's be serious. We've got a third of the season to go. Have it in May or at least April. Give it some credibility. I think the whole system is flawed. Our system is flawed. That's my personal opinion. Had he made 2 or 3 mistakes or failed to make 2 or 3 wonder saves, which no one would have blamed him for had he not saved them, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be saying our XG is a disgrace. We're conceding far too many goals. And, you know, I just think we're so exposed as a team. You know how to beat us. You know how to subdue us. I expect very much the same. What I would say to any Spurs fan is our defence better than last season? Are our backs better than last season?
Yeah, we've got one of the best defences we've ever had, and it's certainly one of the best in the league, isn't it?
Right. Okay. So Mickey van der Ven is a huge upgrade on what we had before. Romero's playing better due to having him there. Destiny has been a massive upgrade. Our goalkeeper's a huge upgrade on what Lloris has been for the last 18 months. And Porro's been outstanding. Then if we move to the midfield, we could say, well, hang on a minute. Papa Sarr's been fantastic. Basuma was great at the first 7-8 games of the season. So what is our weakness? For me, the weakness says it's got to be the tactics, the inflexibility of those tactics. The first few games, teams struggled to understand our game. Now they know exactly how to play it. I mean, to add a little bit of context to that, I think our XGA has come down to, I think, 1.59 since Mickey van der Ven and Romero have been teamed back up, but it's still too high.
Yeah.
You know, and also just for another number, just to throw out there, we're conceding 1.51 goals per game, which no team has ever qualified for the Champions League, in the top 4 that is, ever, with those goals per game ratio stats. And nearest is Newcastle, who qualified with 1.31. So we need to up our game. Sorry, Jack, go on, crack on.
No, well, Jack, let me ask you for your take on it, but let me kind of throw in we are going to do devil's. It is devil's advocate. And as soon as the show's done, I'm going to swap Dave's face out and put Jack's on, and we'll call it the devil's Jackfocate or something. Jack, let me kind of look. I think everything that Johnny's just said is statistically factual. It's proven. He's mixed it in with his take on, you know, the fact that the tactics are responsible, and they probably are to a degree. But is there a bedding in period? You can throw in the better players, but do we have to be conscious of the fact that these players are still learning the system? It's a very complex system to learn. And so, and hopefully on top of that, even if Andrew said, look, yeah, we are going to give up more chances, but hopefully we're going to score more as well, kind of Aussie Ardiles settings. Is it what we have to shake hands with, that XGA is gonna go up because of the style of play?
100%. I think if we watched the first couple of games of the season, especially Brentford, I think we were all thinking, oh my word, what are we in for? We're in for a proper roller coaster. The amount of space we were leaving in behind. And I think we just knew that it was going to be a risk, but there's a good chance for reward. And I thought this is going to be like, you're always going to be on the edge of your seat. The amount of space we leave in behind. For me, it felt like we were progressing and we were starting to understand the tactical system. But recently, I think we've all understood that maybe we're not quite there yet and there's a lot to learn. And I do think that we've just got to understand we're only 6-7 months into this process and we're not going to get it straight away. And I think the defence is, I love our defence. I love the players, but I do think we're going to always give up a lot of chances. And I think while we're still understanding the process, that's just going to be the way it is. And I think it's going to take a while. I don't know in the long-term future, are we going to play with, I love Udogie and Porro, but maybe we need to have one more traditional fullback who kind of sits in and kind of have one who goes forward more, because we do let up a lot of space in behind, in my opinion, and we've really got exploited in the last couple of weeks. But for me, it's kind of, we just got to understand that we're going to score. We've got to hope that we're going to score a lot of goals, but we are going to concede chances. And that's just the way it is for this season. Going forward, I think we're going to need to kind of adapt our play style a bit, or kind of adapt the players playing in those positions against the bigger teams. But for now, I think it's going to be like this. And if you look at the goal scoring opportunities, we've probably had a lot more than we did under Conte, because we know how dire that football was.
Let me ask you this, Jack. Let me stick with you for a second on this one. If you're suggesting that maybe the double inverted fullback system it offers a little bit too much risk, right? And you're saying that whilst we're trying to
against
learn
the big teams, specifically for me, I love the football. I think it's brilliant, and I like the risk that we come inside, and then that means the forwards have to obviously come wide and create the space there. I just think when you play against the likes of Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea are going to get better, United even, you're not going to be able to do that, because they're just going to exploit you because they have so much quality up front as well. So I just think we need a bit more adaptability against the top sides.
See, I feel like we've been better against the top sides, and I think that we've been most vulnerable resting on our laurels against teams that we shouldn't be. I feel like, Wolves obviously twice, but I think Bournemouth, we got away with it a little bit. Brentford, Brighton, there's a few of those. Everton, Manchester United, I'm not even putting in the top side bucket anymore. Sheffield United. I feel like, listen, I don't want to take down the kind of the focusing on the negative. So I want to turn it back into what I was going to ask you, Jack, and then I'll get Johnny's take on it. Is there, whilst we're figuring it out, even when we have figured it out, the fact you're still going to double invert, I think, is always going to offer up the space. But does it become a little bit easier to protect if you have a specific monster six? I always talk about the monster six, and we're moving around now. I just feel like for me, if you want to do the double inversion, then you need a specific player that just sits deep and has got no desire to get forward, no desire to go and be the kind of the kingmaker, just sit in the pocket, protect like a monster player can, tackle hard, but then know how to thread the ball, thread the pass, like Callum McGregor did at Celtic. And I just don't know if we've got that. So if the argument is we need to change and only have one person sit back of the two fullbacks and the other one let him have the liberal freedom, then that's not doing the double inversion. If he wants to do the double inversion, then for me, the solution has to be in the six rather than necessarily outside. I don't know, Jack, what's your thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree. Like, I like the double inversion, but I just think right now with the players we have, I've said on Spurs Related on Instagram that I don't think Sarr or Basuma are ever going to be a natural number six. And some people in the comments said, "What are you talking about, mate? Sarr and Basuma have been our best players." And I was like, they've been brilliant, but it doesn't mean that I think they're a natural six. And I think that's what we're missing. And I said, we need someone who can kind of soak up the pressure, but also who's comfortable in possession, who can break the lines going forward. And I don't think Basuma or Sarr do that. I think they're both good, probably number eights. I think Basuma's probably in the middle of the two. But I do think that, like you say, so a specialist six would allow us to have two inverted fullbacks. But the players we have right now, I think we're going to get exposed a lot without having a specialist number six.
What about you, Johnny? What's your take, mate? Where do you think we're going to obviously pivot away from just the vulnerabilities, but if we're talking about them, is it Jack initially was thinking stick one back, stick one, let one go forward. I think the 6 is an issue. I've been saying it since before. Since the moment he arrived, I went, Tottenham need a proper 6. And then when Bissouma started out playing the season very well, everyone said I was in the mud because Bissouma was the 6 I said we didn't have. I feel like as the season's progressed, it's proven that we need a proper 6 that just sits back. Johnny, what say you?
Basuma's the Louis Vuitton we never had, right? Well, that's what he is. Of course, he's coming on his man bag. Look, for me, if you're going to play this system, I need pass protection. I need protection of my backs, and that isn't any of the players that we've got, in my opinion. Right? Go and buy Paulinho, or put Paulinho in that position. We're a different team, right? Because here's a guy who's got so much football intelligence that, he can... A lot of playing in the 6 is the intelligence of reading the game and understanding where to be so that you're not running like a headless chicken. Papa Sarr covers a lot of ground, so much ground, because there's so much space for him to cover behind, whether it be Johnson or whoever it may be.
But do you think he could play at right back tomorrow, Johnny?
Who?
Papa Sarr.
No. I said who I thought could play at right back tomorrow. I got laughed out of town.
Did you say?
Kulu.
Really? Interesting.
A lot of people on Twitter are talking about that. I don't mind it. I don't mind it, to be honest.
I've been talking about it for weeks, as you know. But for me, look, I mean, this is just plain. Look, we're dealing with Ange. It is what it is, mate, right? It's not for changing, okay? You're just going to stand there and be that obstinate guy who ain't going to change. Personally, I think this system, he's going to get massively exposed. If we're in Europe next season and he's going to have this attitude, right, we're just going to get steamrolled, right? Because there's some fantastic tactical coaches in Europe. All his teams in Europe under Celtic got more or less hammered. I didn't see anything exciting. A few minutes against Real Madrid. I think we definitely need a 6 to sit there in his system. That's going to protect us, protect that back 4, dropping in, maybe at times pushing forward when the chances comes to him. But I don't think any of those is a natural 6. So, where do you find a 6? Chelsea,
there's a few out there. Like for me,
Chelsea buying them all, aren't they? Chelsea trying to buy them all. They bought.
I don't know. I think you could go and get I think Onana at Everton is a good option.
Do you think Onana?
I think you know what? I think he would become a better player if he was to simplify his role. I genuinely think that he overcomplicates things, and when he's having a bad day, because he has bad days, Onana, he goes missing at times. I think it's because he's asked to do things and he gets a little bit caught out with his requirements. I think if he were just to simplify it and say just sit in the pocket, protect and pass, I think he's very good. Obviously, Paulinho is a really good option, but I don't know if Tottenham would play.
Look at his numbers. You look at Paulinho. Paulinho's numbers last season, head and shoulders. No one was anywhere near his numbers in the whole of the Premier League last season. And this season, despite his injuries, he's probably leading.
And he's a phenomenal player. Plus, you got I think that the Gomez fella at Wolves, I think he looks like a real emerging talent. We'll keep an eye on him.
Fantastic. Him and Lemina absolutely boss us.
Lemina's a beast, 100%.
I mean, he really did boss us in the first game. I mean, he ran us ragged, almost on his own. This time he had Gomez with him. But he's finding, you see, Spurs, there's no point. Spurs aren't going to go out and buy an Onana at 70 million or a Paulinho at 70 million. Spurs are going to have to go out and find someone who's going to be an Onana or going to be a Paulinho. That's the only way we're going to get that player that we desperately need. When you look at how much energy Papa Sarr is putting into these games, he can't last 90 minutes playing that role because it's just too much. It's
not twice a week next season for sure. 100% is a problem.
Definitely can't. We need two.
Let me just press pause for 2 seconds. So say massive thank you to Rob Wallace for the very generous donation. Five memberships that were handed out. I think I've seen people saying thank you very much to him. Very generous.
Rob Wallace.
What's that?
Not the Rob Wallace.
Not Rob. No, I don't think the Rob Wallace. No, but another one. Thank you very much, Rob. Really appreciate it, mate. Very, very nice of you. And if you haven't already, if you are one of the recipients and you haven't already said thank you, then make sure you do let Rob know. I am going to be doing. There's a 10% chance, guys, that I'm going to be not at the game tomorrow. That I'm going to stay at home because I'm not sure how I feel yet. But if I'm not at home, then if I am at home, then the second the game's over, I'll open up the do the fan phone-in thing. But I'll do it to members. So if you guys want to come on and join, if I am at the game, then the next time we go away from home, I'll be doing that. So that's when the members are going to come on and get their chance to wax lyrical about all things that have happened in the previous 90 minutes. Let's talk a little bit about Sean. You have moved to a new communications. I just thought I'd move the room around a little bit. See, and I hate it, to be honest. If I feel like a duck out of water. I want to just talk. Let's talk specifically about the Crystal Palace game, guys. Got some stats for us to go through here. Crystal Palace have won only of their last 17 league games against Tottenham, a 3-0 win at Selhurst Park in September 2021 under Patrick Vieira. Spurs have lost. I think that was the game when Tanganga got sent off? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It was it? Yeah. Spurs have lost 2 of their past 3 home London derbies in the Premier League. They did beat Brentford 3-2 in their past such match. They have not lost 3 London derby matches at home in the same campaign since 2004-2005. Wow, 20 years. Crystal Palace have opened the scoring in each of their past 3 Premier League games, as many as they had in their previous 16. They last scored the first goal in 4 consecutive league games in November 2021. With 8 goals and 2 assists, Sonny has been involved in 10 goals in 15 Premier League games against Palace. Only against Southampton and Leicester has he been involved in more. Palace won 3-0 against Burnley in Glasner's first Premier League game in charge. Only Alan Pardew has ever won both of his first 2 in charge of the Eagles, doing so with victories over Tottenham and Burnley in 2015. I do love the way the BBC can cherry pick 4 or 5 stats and make them all quite pertinent. Johnny, what's your initial thoughts, mate, on tomorrow? There's obviously on paper it should be like, come on, and I've got the team news. We'll go through the team news in a minute, but on paper it should be, Tottenham against Palace at home. You should be saying 3 points, but it's Glasner. The manager bounce. Eze's back. Richie's out. Go on, talk to me, mate. I
mean, look, for me, Eze, when Eze doesn't play, their win percentage is 9. When he plays, it's up to 37. That tells you everything you need to know. He's on another level. I'm half hoping that he has an unbelievable game, but we beat them, because I want Ange to look at him and say, this is the guy that we need. At the same time, he's just coming back from a hamstring injury. So I think I think he'll be influential. One of the players who doesn't get enough credit is Ayew. He absolutely works his nuts off. Yeah, he works that line like a nutcase. I'll be interested to see whether he plays Matias Franca tomorrow, the Brazilian boy that they bought in this last summer. I think he's going to be the kid that sort of replaces Eze and Elise. He wasn't given much game time by Roy, so it'd be interesting to see. Look, he's going to go all out attack.
Didn't he play against Burnley?
Yeah.
He played well when he came off the bench, right? He came off the bench and did very well.
Yeah. Listen, I know he's a good player because I was shown him from Brazil before he even came here as an 18-year-old. But I think, look, we know what Anderson's capable of. I mean, I would have liked him at Tottenham with that diagonal pass, shades of Toby with that diagonal pass with Dele Alli running onto him. I just had visions of Anderson, long ball onto Kane or Sonny. He's going to be a danger. I'm worried about set pieces. I'll be honest with you, Sean. We are absolutely shocking. I look at Arsenal, they're unbelievable, their setups. I mean, I love the way they have the 3.
And Glasner's came in his first week. I read the article from The Athletic talking about his first week. He's put 2 of his scouts, 2 of his coaches specifically delegated towards handling set pieces, right? Which is quite terrifying.
I mean, we got Ryan Mason. I think we need Perry Mason. I honestly, I honestly, it's not good enough. We had Viola, right? We had a genius coach recognised throughout Europe as one of the best set piece coaches. Unfortunately, Ange did not like him. Personal thing. And he's gone. But no one can tell me that we are better at set pieces offensively and defensively. For me, I don't know who's Jedinek is doing one and Mason's doing the other one. Whatever they're doing, it's not good enough. And if someone can please explain to me why we have got 11 players in the box defending every corner, I want an answer. Because for me, you put one or two players, one on the halfway line and one halfway between the halfway line, that means the other team has something to think about, and it has to remove 3 or 4 players from that corner or from that set piece. What we do, we put 11 in the box. That means everyone's involved. That means if the ball goes loose, there's someone of the opposition team ready to.
And if you do win the header, it comes straight back, right?
There's nowhere to go. And yet, here we are at Wolves. We had 11 in the box, and the smallest guy on the pitch gets a free header. Something's not right. It needs to change, and I worry that that might be our weakness tomorrow. And set pieces.
Jack, what about you, mate? Going into the game, how confident are you generally?
I've got to be honest. I think the way we've been playing recently, we haven't been at our best at all. I think everyone can see that. I think we've been struggling from a positional sense. I think we've kind of started 2024 on a bad foot. And I think we had hopes that we'd be pushing Arsenal and that, who knew, maybe we could compete with the likes of Liverpool and Man City. But we've hit a reality check and realised actually we're nowhere near that level right now. But against Palace at home, you'd expect we're going to deliver, we're going to play well, be on the front foot. But Crystal Palace, they always turn up. I think every time we play them, any of the top teams they play, with the creativity of Eze coming back, like Johnny alluded to, he's such a good player, someone I'd love to see at Spurs. And I think their defence is brilliant. I think they're going to be a serious threat from set pieces. We know how poor we've been recently defending that. They're probably going to put someone on Vicario, really put us under the cosh. And we know Anderson is brilliant aerially. So that's definitely a main threat. But I just think we need to be smart in this game. And I think it's going to be massively dependent on our lineup, depends who we're going to play. We know we've got injuries that I'm sure we're going to go through as well. But at the end of the day, you've still got to be confident we'll get it over the line. But I don't think Crystal Palace are a team to be sniffed at. I think Oliver Glasner with his TNs and Canada Goose coat is going to be feeling $1 million after his 3-0 win, and probably thinks that Tottenham are in a bad run of form and that they can take the game to us. And to be honest, I am worried about it. But being an optimistic Spurs fan, you've got to hope we're going to get the job done.
Let's talk about...
Sorry, guys. I was just going to say, listeners, although I was highlighting that, as far as I'm concerned, there's absolutely no excuse for losing tomorrow. Absolutely none, right? Yeah. Wolves were a far better team than Crystal Palace. Both, from footballer-wise to, what the coach has done with that team and how long he's been at that team. I can accept Wolves. I thought Wolves were going to cause us all sorts of problems. They did, as predicted. I don't want to hear. There's no excuse if we get turned over tomorrow. I'll be fuming.
Johnny, I think with Wolves, their style of football, kind of counter-attacking, sitting in with good players on the counter-attack, really just doesn't suit Tottenham at all. With Crystal Palace, I think they're actually going to come at us a bit more. And I don't think Glasner's had the time to kind of set up his structure and kind of identify how he wants to play. That's why I'm hoping we'll be okay, as well as we should have the individual quality. But I do think that they're a team that if Spurs are not on it from the first minute, then don't be surprised if they score a couple goals, like straight away.
You just said something there, Jack, which I find alarming. Not what you've said, but you said that we knew that they were going to exploit that space down the flanks because we knew that they had the tools.
Yeah,
with Sarabia and with Neto to attack that space. So tell me why, when you knew it and I knew it, and I knew they were going to stand off, and I knew they'd let us have the ball, and they could absolutely kill us on the break. Why is Ange not tweaking anything? Is that arrogance? Is that arrogance, or is that just like?
I've got some. Funny enough, I've got some of his quotes here, his comments. And one of the question is, here we go, just right here. Where are you in where you want the team to be? Let's analyze this. This is from his press conference. It's hard because I've said a few times it's not something I measure as we go along, but I just know we have a long way to go with the football we want to play, and even where we are in terms of the squad. We still have a lot of work to do. Have we made progress? Yes, I believe we definitely have made progress from where we were at the start of the year. And you don't lose sight of that, because a lot of people have worked hard to get us into the position we're in right now. For what I am looking at in terms of where I want us to be as a team, and not as an end point, because hopefully there isn't an end point and you keep improving, but just the elements of the team. I want to see the way we play, where the squad is, how we work, and the staff. I just think we have a long way to go. And that is also exciting, because we're hopefully setting up a real strong foundation to build upon. I honestly don't, I'm sure it sounded better when he said it. But reading that, I have absolutely no idea what he's saying. I can't work it out. Is he saying that he's saying we've made progress, but we've still got a long way to go? But is he happy or not? I'm not entirely sure.
Have we made progress, Sean? Tell me how we've made progress. The first 10 games was progress. Since that 10 games, we have not progressed. No one's telling me we progressed since that 10 games. For me, that's a political answer. That's an answer someone, in government would give when given an awkward bloody question, right? That's the sort of answer.
Do you think what he's trying to say, and I'm not reading through the lines, I agree with you, it'd be nice for him to be open and honest. Do you think he's trying to say we were kind of in a false position in the first 10 games, and that we kind of started off better than anyone expected, and now we're kind of, teams are understanding us a bit more, and we're still trying to learn the positions? That's the only thing I can kind of think of where he's coming from.
No, you're not wrong, Jack, but my point is, why is he not talking about what he's been asked, which is like what's happening with the game?
Well, here's another question, right? And I was reading some journalists in attempts at interpreting this, and someone asked him, like Wenger said, is finishing fourth like a trophy? And he said, I'm not really sure. I haven't read the competition rules, but my understanding is that we're not just battling for a fourth place at this stage. And when I first read that, I was interpreting it as he's talking about fifth place could be a Champions League spot. But according to I've probably seen 9 different articles that are all suggesting that he's suggesting that we're still in a title race. And I'm like, am I reading it wrong? I don't really understand. I said this to you on last week's Devil's Advocate. We spent the first few minutes talking about it. I got pelters in the comments afterwards saying, you and Johnny and Dave are so negative. Dave's less negative than you and Johnny. Whatever. It is what it is. We're just having a conversation. But I don't get his press conferences. I'm not a fan of any manager's press conferences. Most managers are terrible at press conferences. They hate journalists. But I don't get Ange's press conferences. I don't understand what he's trying to tell me. I can't listen to him and feel like I understand what he's trying to say. Jack, is he talking about fifth place being the Champions League thing, or is he still suggesting we're in a title race? I don't get it.
He's talking about a title race. I can't see it being any other way. And I think if we're being open and honest and being realistic, we're nowhere near that. Everyone can see the players we have on the pitch currently, where we currently are. That's just so unrealistic. But maybe in his head, it's mathematically possible. We're 8 points off top, and he believes in the players, or he's trying to get the fans in a full sense of reality where let's keep going. It doesn't really make sense. I think you've got to be open and honest and kind of understand where you are in a process and realise right now, Spurs fans right now would be more than happy with fourth place. In my opinion, I'm more worried about Manchester United and Villa, way more than I'm worried about Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool. Because
100%, 100%. He can't surely have been meaning. But listen, I've seen I was looking on news now, and I saw about 8 different headlines from 8 different journalists, all suggesting that Ange has got some kind of. I hadn't actually seen the press conference, but they were all saying Ange has some sort of moody response to the insinuation that we're only fighting for a Champions League spot. And I'm like, he can't possibly still think we're in a title race.
He wants, like, before we've complained about, we want more. But that's because we've been 3 years under a project and we've been promised, we've been brought in a winner. So he's probably thinking, the Spurs fans are going to want me to come out and say, we've just lost to Wolves. We played dire football for the last, dire results. It's like, who knows what?
It has been dire football, though. Let's be honest. It hasn't been great football. It's been terrible football. It's right. It's Friday night. I'm sure the YouTube rules are looser on a Friday night.
Since Newcastle, right? And let's be honest. Look, at the beginning, I loved Ange's honesty, right? After Conte, it's been amazing. It's refreshing, right? And just for sake here, for clarity, I'm not here to say Ange out, okay? Because some people tend to think if you say anything negative, you're Ange out. No, I'm not saying that. But what's the point of being on these shows and saying it's all amazing?
No, exactly. I was having this conversation with Sava earlier on the phone, right? Shout out to Sava if he's watching. I was having this conversation with him, and I said to him, mate, have you found yourself recently, whenever you want to say something about Tottenham that's a little bit like controversial, and by controversial,
apologize I mean first,
an honest, exactly, you have to apologize first. Sorry, yeah, like it's a madness that you can't, that you can keep one eye on the bigger picture and critiquing and criticizing and having an opinion that isn't that everything's perfect at Tottenham, because it's far from it, is somehow an extension of that means that you want to tear up everything and go and get rid of Ange. None of that could be further from the truth. I love the idea of playing great football. I'm also very on board with the idea of additional risk. But in the process, you're going to have to analyze things. But even if we want to do it that way, where we're going to play great football, exciting front foot football, but you're going to concede a couple, even if that's the fine. But right now, I'm not seeing Tottenham create anything like the chances that the other teams create against us, and they're playing like counter-attacking Conte ball. And if it wasn't for the best goalkeeper in London, Vicario, we wouldn't be 5th. We would be 10th. Let's be honest.
Look at that XGA. And this is why
I'm honest about it. You know,
at the beginning, Ange's honesty was so refreshing. Now I've got cryptic Agatha Christie every time we have a press conference, right? And he's saying something, he's saying stuff, I mean, we're not at the Seagulls yet, but I reckon within the next 2 or 3 weeks, when the Seagulls follow the trawler, I can see we're going to be at that level. If the results carry on at this level, I can really see it. Look, for me, I'll tell you another thing I don't like. I don't like a man who sits there with his arms folded, has no interaction with the team during the game. Only his staff have interaction. Yeah, we start the game full of vigour. We go to half-time. He obviously gives them an absolute bollocking. They come out with purpose, score a couple of goals, then it all goes flat again. I want my manager to be straight into it. I want that interaction. When there's a break, get them over. Show. I can't believe he's saying Ange out. I'm not saying Ange out. See what I mean?
He's joking now. He's on the wind up. He's trolling. He's knocking around his mouth. I think so. I don't know who he is.
I wouldn't put it past anyone here. But listen, when I look at Klopp and when I look at that one who I can't bear, Windmills up the road, there's an interaction, and I think you can inspire someone from the sidelines. I don't know what you think, Jack, or are you quite happy with him sat there with his arms folded?
Is that what you were like Sunday League managing, Johnny?
Yeah,
I said, giving it the old down the touchline. Last minute winner.
I admit, I used to coach from 7 up to sort of 15, 16-year-olds, and I did. And 100%. I did.
That's why I'm genuinely asking, because I played football my life, and you want a manager who wants you to get involved. You do, because if you're looking over and he's sitting there with his arms crossed, you're thinking, am I doing well? Am I not doing well? You want someone to show a bit of passion. And that's why at the time when we had Conte, Mourinho, and Mourinho's jumping out his chair because Sterling hasn't been given a yellow card, you love to see it, don't you? Because you feel inspired, you feel excited, and you get the fans behind it. I love Ange. I love what he's doing, but it wouldn't help if he got riled a few feathers on the other touchline. I liked it when he got in a bit of a scuffle, didn't he? Who was
Deserby, was it?
Deserby.
No, it was Bournemouth.
It wasn't even him. It wasn't even him.
Well, it was when Veliz went down injured, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And you like that because you feel like
I loved it. Yeah, great.
A sense of like understanding, like this is my team and I'm willing to fight for my team. So Johnny, I'm totally in your camp.
And another thing, Jack, I'll ask you another question, right?
Carry on, boys. For 2 seconds. We've got to go. I'll answer the door for someone. Back in 2 seconds.
Do you want your team to be the team that when everything's going against you, you just carry on? You don't care, right? You don't speak to the referee. There was a couple of incidents. It was against Brentford. Right at the start, Ivan Toney has twice taken out Pedro Porro, right? And the second one, a really bad challenge. He's on the ground. Referee's called Ivan Toney over. Porro gets up. He shakes his hand in front of the referee, pats him on the back and walks off. Now, I mean, if that was Roy Keane, he'd be going, what the hell are you doing, right?
Yeah.
You stay down on the ground, you get up to the referee and you start having to go to the referee. Look, he's done to my leg. 2 minutes later, he's doing the same thing again in the middle of the park. And again, he didn't get booked. Set the tone. I just think sometimes dark arts, we're a young team.
The unwritten rules.
The unwritten rules. Yeah. When we're leading, like at Everton, go down.
Slow
Slow the game down. But,
totally agree.
He wants quick free kicks. Okay, there are time for quick free kicks when you're chasing the game. But for me, when you're 1-0 up, right, slow the game down. You don't need to do a quick free kick, right? Yeah. Dark arts, right? He doesn't want them complaining. He doesn't want any of that shithousery. Yeah. For me, mild shithousery. I don't see that aggression anymore from Pedro Porro, from Richarlison, and from Romero that I saw at the beginning of the season. Has he asked them to dial it down?
Maybe because I think we've all spoke before loads of times about Romero's discipline and that players getting unnecessary yellow cards, missing games. But like you say, there's a medium balance, and you want when you play for a football team. I'm sure we've all played football here. You want to back your lads. If someone's put on an awful challenge, you want to be straight over. Nothing stupid. Don't get sent off. But you want a sense of camaraderie where you're going to go down together. And like you say, maybe we've missed a bit of that fight recently. Maybe we haven't been up for it. I think I come on Sean's post-match when we lost to Everton, when we were playing, like you said, those quick free kicks, and it was completely unnecessary. Maybe if we slowed the game down and kind of calmed down on the ball a bit, and someone who was comfortable in possession, we would have got the 3 points there. I remember playing Man United in the semi-final where we lost 2-1, and Herrera, I think, scored the winner. And I've gone on a tangent here. But all Mourinho did was kick the ball out of play, Matic going down every 10 minutes. And sometimes that's what you've got to do. We want to see the free-flowing attacking football. Of course we do. But if we can't do it for 90 minutes, then like you say, Johnny, a couple unwritten rules wouldn't go amiss.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you, I just wanted to ask.
Oh, go on.
Sorry, go on, Sean. Go on.
Well, I just wanted to quickly to check on Checkmate's comment here. He's obviously he's referring to to us as people in the community that maybe that our voices calling out certain parts are going to chip away at the credibility of Ange, which might then culminate into Ange out. But I mean, listen, I appreciate that as a notion, Checkmate, but I don't think that Tottenham fans who don't, I wouldn't give myself or most of the Tottenham YouTubers the credibility that we influence opinions. I think we just people that happen to have opinions and talk about them. But I think I've noticed from the comments that if I say something people don't agree with, I'm not shaping people's opinions like that. If I say something stupid, people call me out rather than me. I don't then hear bad opinions being repeated because I've said them. So I don't think that necessarily that it's the same as an influencer kind of like narrative where you can forge opinions that other people wouldn't normally have. I don't believe that to be the case. But if it is the case, then I would still say that you have a responsibility to be honest and say what you're seeing. And I think that all we're doing is talking about what we're seeing in the game, and every opinion is different. Everyone looks through their own particular lens. And I think that it's important that, and I always say this, I think it's important that for me, I like to isolate the analysis of the game and talk about the game and think about how we can improve. Because if you want to get to the team that if you 100%. Want to be able to beat the team that you currently aren't, then you have to figure out where the loopholes are, the vulnerabilities in your system, and where the abilities to exploit other people's vulnerabilities. And that only comes through analysis. So,
and every team's different. So sometimes you have to have adaptability. Like you say, we've done really well against the top team, Sean, this season. Doesn't mean we might not do so well next season. That's why I'm saying about the inverted fullbacks and whether that will work. But I think we have a right to kind of talk about where we can improve, because it doesn't mean we're not happy with what we're seeing. I think we've said on multiple occasions how lucky we are to have this football that's been brilliant at the start. But to not criticise and kind of say what we'd like to improve, then what's the point of having a show?
Can I just say, the one thing that I find strange is that everything in life evolves. Our phones evolve, technology evolves. Yet, for some unknown reason, Ange says his football's not for changing. It has to evolve. The football Pep is playing now is not the football Pep was playing in his first 18 months at Man City.
Yeah, even last season.
Even last season, yeah. I mean, you know, when he pushed Stones into the middle of the park and then got everyone else, you know, trying to change their systems. I just think one of the things that I noticed, we got a very young team out there, right? I don't know about you guys, I don't see, well, definitely when I rewatched that Wolves game, when we lost the goal, I don't see leaders on that pitch. I don't see fire in the belly. I don't see the aggression. I don't see someone grabbing hold of players and saying, come on, guys, you know, let's go. I don't see that. And I want to see that. We are together as a unit. No, I mean, I'd rather how we are now than where we were last year, where it was split. But there's being together nicely, arms around each other, and there's being together with a bit of aggression and a bit of feistiness, and somebody taking the point and leading by example.
No, I don't disagree with you. I think that there's something. I'm not sure that the Roy Keane style of captaincy is like in 2024. Everyone's a little bit more sensitive. Everyone's a little bit more, you know, vulnerable. Everyone's a little bit more considerate. Everyone's a little bit more certain type that, you know, the Roy Keane wouldn't survive in 2020. Roy Keane would have been cancelled as a captain in 2024, right? It had he been, you know what I mean, right? So I'm not sure that's the right way to go about it, but I do think that we've got a camaraderie for sure.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like I think that there's an additional level. There's a little something that that needs to be added to that kind of camaraderie to make everyone. But did you see the video? Just quickly, because I was that's an interesting segue. I do want to get your take on it. Just quickly, I want to shout out to this man, Joe. Where are you, Joe? I saw your comment here a second ago. He said, good to see you. Here you are, Joe S. Good meeting you in the shop the other week, mate. Good to meet you too, buddy. Good to meet you too, mate. Top show. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you. If you want to come on next time after the game tomorrow, if I'm there, I'll see you in the shop. I'll be getting one of those tonic wines, and then you can come on and do a
Jamaican.
Mate, I love those things. Those things, they don't sell those things where I live.
You're not talking about a Maggie, are you? The Jamaican.
Magna, mate. I've discovered them, and I think they're like, I'm trying to give up drinking, obviously. I'm trying to cut down massively. I slip occasionally and stuff. But the tonic wines are like
a magic Maggie after the match. That's what people are doing in year 11 in the park, Sean. But I'm glad you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, mate. I've only just found them, bro. I absolutely love them.
You got to.
No, I think they're absolutely delicious. They're delicious. They do the job. They warm you up. They give you a little. Anyway, let me get back to the point I was going to make. Right, was Neil Maupay. Did you see the video of Neil Maupay?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't like the geezer.
I love it, mate.
Every single thing that he said was bang on. He throws out a dart celebration, and he had 11 players on toast, all because we copied James Maddison's celebration
in their heads, mate.
Look,
but that's a problem. Yeah. James Maddison's the vice captain of the team, and he was what everyone else was getting around him. It was like we won the game, but we lost the battle on that day in a different level.
I was gonna say something on this because this is controversial and he divides opinion. But what Neil Maupay actually did and what he's been doing, I think it's unreal.
He's a wind-up. He's a classic troll, a proper wind-up merchant.
Talking about him affecting how they're playing, thinking about what they're going to do to Maupay rather than the actual football they're doing on the pitch.
100%.
And we were lucky to get through that match, let's be honest, because our heads were gone. And maybe it worked in a sense where we stuck together and we actually wanted to show it. But if that's what it takes to get you rolled up in a football match, then you need a captain to kind of sort this out and say, this is the energy we need from the start of the game. And I think that's what you were saying, Johnny.
Yeah,
you need a bit of passion. You don't need Maupay who's kicking the ball on the sideline or moving the ball to roll you up. You want to have that from the start. You want to feel a sense of responsibility that you need to be beating these teams from the start of the game.
I'd be on the sideline. I I wouldn't be Arteta, but I would be on that sideline and I would be giving it large. I'd be vocal. I can't help it. I watched my son's football on the weekend, crucial game, which they unfortunately lost. They're top of the table, and I was walking up and down that touchline for 90 minutes. I was absolutely worn out by the end of the game. And my son turned around at me and said, "Dad, you do realise you're not the manager, right?"
Yeah.
But you can't. My point here is that, you know, I want to see him. If there's going to be no leader on the pitch, Ange always says it's up to them. It's up to the players. I've said my bit. It's up to them. But if you can see something's not quite right, why can't you interject? Why have I got to see Mason come on or someone else come onto the pitch and start pointing or shouting at players? It's never.
Is managers getting involved though? Just to play the counter here, is managers like if I had an Arteta as a manager who was kicking every ball for me or screaming at me from the sidelines to kick it in a different way because he would have passed it that way and you passed it that way, and every single time you do something that he doesn't like, he's screaming at you. Like, I don't like being micromanaged, and I think that Arteta is a manager, if that makes sense.
He's too far the other way for me.
So who's the perfect example then of a manager that is emotional, evocative?
Klopp.
I think Klopp's brilliant. I do, and
I'll give me Klopp any day of the week. You know, I love that. I feel as a Spurs fan, you know, I feel, you know, his face when he realised he's going to have to bring the kids on. You know, the way he put his arm around them and spoke to them, and whatever he said to them, I don't know what he said to them, but he inspired them, and he inspired them from the side of the pitch, and he inspires me sometimes. Even when I watched us slaughter them 4-1 at Wembley, right? I think it was his first season when we played him at Wembley. Just the way he is on the sideline with them even in those days, encouraging his players. I'm not saying I want Ange to be screaming and shouting every single game, right? At every single moment within the game. But when we are losing our way...
Hang on, Paul. No, certainly we're not making that argument at all. we want our team to be less... The opposite, if anything. The opposite.
We just said the complete opposite, Paul.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird how people, you know, don't hear what you're trying to say.
What I would say is I think we love what Ange brings to the table, and he has so many good things. Like you say, he's got brilliant team talk. We like his character. We like that he's given us some belief. And you're not always going to get everything you want in a manager. No. Man City fans would even probably criticise Guardiola, like he'd come out and said Calvin Phillips was overweight, and a lot of people would say that's not how you'd handle a situation. So sometimes you're not always going to get 100% spot on, because none of us will. But what I'd say with Ange is right now, with our current crop of players, you're not really seeing that fight or passion. So if no one's going to do it, someone has to do it. And while you haven't got that crop of players, maybe you do need to be the man to step up and say, if he's not changing in the 60th minute and no one's showing it, you've got to be the one showing up.
Who's the most mature, Jack? Who's the most mature person on the pitch who can, or in the squad, who can keep their head, maintain, like not get reckless? Because I think Talking Beer's got a good point. We were accusing, or not, I don't think we were necessarily us three, but I'm sure I've had moments where I've said that we're reckless with our yellow cards and stupidity and stuff like that at times as well. So yeah, everything's a balance, right? You have to take the bitter with the better. But when I think for me, we've got a team that has one of the worst disciplinary records in the Premier League, yet at the same time acts and gets affected and wound up by immature behaviour by people like Neil Maupay. So Jack, who is the guy? And this is not a sort of twist into a conversation around who should be captain, but just generally speaking, who is the kind of the guy you would look to that has the most miles on the clock in terms of not getting sucked in to the nonsense?
The guy that comes to my head is actually not a starter and he's very controversial. And that guy would probably be Ben Davies. Every time I think he gets stuck in, I think he wins his duels, he fights for every ball, but at the same time, he keeps his head and knows he's got a job to do. And maybe that's a bit worrying that someone as experienced as him, who we know is probably not good enough to start week in, week out, is someone that we'd rely on. Because I look at this current 11 of players that I think are all extremely talented and are brilliant footballers. I think Sonny, I think he's brilliant for the team, but would I say he's a natural leader in the sense of a kind of traditional captain? I probably wouldn't. And Højbjerg, yeah, I think he's good, but I think you also want a captain to kind of lead by example. I think sometimes Højbjerg is a concentration where he's kind of giving away the ball. You want someone to, in my opinion, to be locked in the whole time. But Højbjerg's not a bad shout. But I would generally be looking at someone like Ben Davies, steady Eddie, like just does his job and knows what he has to do, and it's going to give it all for the club he loves.
Bring up Tony's quote. That's exactly.
Just please don't read it out, though. Please don't read it out.
No.
That'll definitely get me cancelled.
For 90 minutes, you cannot be nice. You have to be a bunch of Canucks. Intelligent Canucks, not stupid Canucks. Bar stewards in the sense you are going to win matches. I just think, use your intelligence. We are not intelligent. We do not play intelligently. Okay. Like we were talked about earlier, you're 1-0 up against Everton. You're under the cosh. Go down. Fake an injury. Like, put your arm around it, right? I know Ange wants us to play the ball quick, but you don't play the ball quick. You play the ball quick at the start of the game when you're chasing it, when you want to win. Not when you're 1-0 up and there's only a minute or two to go. Knowing when to go down and try and get a player booked. What's wrong with that? That's what Arsenal do. That's what Man United do. I mean, yesterday's Ten Hag's comment about Fulham need to apologise. I don't know if you saw the video, but Bruno Fernandes.
They just reshared the clip, right?
It's embarrassing, man. It's absolutely embarrassing. He's actually holding his
Bruno Fernandes. I'm not sure there's a footballer on planet Earth that I have more disdain for than that guy. I can't stand him.
Yeah, I was gutted when we decided.
He never gets booked for back talk because every referee knew that if he did it once, he would get sent off every single game. The guy cannot stop with his. He gets yellow carded. We've seen it already this season. People get yellow carded. They react a tiny bit. Second yellow. We've seen it. The precedent was set. He gets a yellow card and he's doing this and effing and blinding and whatever he's doing. That guy is out of control. He should not be a captain because he doesn't act like a captain. He acts like a petulant brat. I can't stand Bruno Fernandes.
But there's the extreme, right? That is the extreme. We don't have, we're not asking for that extreme, but I would like, Ange doesn't want any of our players to remonstrate with the referee or to protest. He wants us to get up and shake hands with everyone. Is the Portuguese Madison.
When you look at the comments here and everyone kind of saying their opinion, which is great, I don't think you see one where everyone's kind of got the same opinion on who's the guy we look to when we're in a spot of bother that's kind of have that calm head, but also has the fire. Everyone's saying different people. I see Bentancur, I see Porro. But you're looking at so many different choices that it kind of shows that we haven't really got that one reliable person that we'd look to.
We should all
the obvious guy that you would love to be. If you could take the one person's mentality and replicate it and put it into everyone's head, it would be Vicario.
100%.
But 100%. You can't give him the captain's armband because you need a player that can affect the midfield, the forward line, and the defense, and the goalkeeper can't.
Do you think Van de Ven? I think he's definitely captain material. I think he's brilliant, but kind of in his first, do you think it'd be too soon? I don't want to get into a captain debate because I think Sonny, I think he's galvanised.
Yeah, Sonny's fine. Sonny's fine for this season, and I don't expect him to change anytime soon. So it's kind of irrelevant. Lads, let's move the conversation forward because we're already at 58 minutes, and I always say to Johnny, this is supposed to be a cheeky hour, and we haven't even got into the kind of the team sheet, if you like, for tomorrow. So I do want to get your take on that. Before I do, I want to breeze through a couple of random things here, just a random couple of examples of news articles that are out. Ange Postecoglou left very impressed by 19-year-old prospect in Tottenham training this week. Apparently, Dane Scarlett caught the eye of the Tottenham man Dana's had a difficult season, but it's great we got him some game time with the under-21s, and that was important. If you look at the match minutes, he has played his way too low. That has helped him. I won't bore you with that one, but you got Dane Scarlett getting the plaudits. You've also now on this particular one here getting Will Lancashire, who I think scored the fastest ever hat trick at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for the under-21s last week or this week just gone. It was like a 10-minute hat trick. No one's ever done it before. Obviously, it's an under-21 game, but I think I'm pretty sure that was him who did that. Absolutely sensational. And with Richarlison out for 3 to 4 weeks, I want you guys to bake into your answers in the second one. I asked you a question whether or not he's going to get any chances. And then you've also got this article here, which is from Dan Kilpatrick, Evening Standard journalist, but he focuses on Tottenham, and he's usually not too far from the truth. And he's talking about Richarlison potentially leaving in the summer and going for 60 million. I know Johnny would have something to say about that because I know he knows people that know people about a thing or two. So just want to kind of bake all this stuff in, guys. When we're talking about the starting 11 for tomorrow, the injury news, we know Sessegnon's not going to be playing. We know Manor Solomon is not going to be playing for a long time. And Pedro Porro is definitely out. We hope Destiny Udogie's back. But we also know Richarlison obviously is going to be missing for 4 games. For 3 to 4 weeks minimum. So what do we do with the starting 11, boys? But obviously spend most of your time talking about the forward line and if Dane Scarlett or Lancashire or any of these guys are going to get any moments at all. I'll start with you on this one, Jackie boy.
I think you've got to be inspired by Klopp and realise that you've got an academy there. You've got brilliant players and use it. So I think Dane Scarlett has been touted as the next big thing for Tottenham. And at some point, it's got to come sooner rather than later. So for me, I would love to see him come into the fold. I'm not saying that I think he deserves to start because I think Werner probably deserves the chance to start as a central number 9, in my opinion. I don't think he's been bad. And I think we're kind of right now maybe 50-50 on whether he'd be a good signing for us, especially at that low cut price. So I'd like to see him start. But I do think we need to give the youth a chance. And I think Lancashire scoring a hat-trick, albeit in an under-21s match, whatever it was, it's a good sign. And or even Soon-Sop Bell, I think, is a talented player that I've seen a few times. And I think you've got to kind of have that belief. You're not going to be able to keep these players around if you're not giving them a chance or at least speaking to them and saying, this is where I want you to be. Klopp has kind of set the precedent now where he's like, these kids can do it. You have got talented players. And Spurs are smashing.
Well, his kids can. His kids can do it. Whether our kids can do it, it's another question, isn't it?
It's a question, but it's a question that needs to be answered. And that's why, and we haven't seen it yet. And for me, I understand Angie's ethos of there's a pecking order and that these players deserve a chance. But with all these injuries, realistically, I think they deserve to play. And I would love to see Scarlett get 20 minutes. If Werner's not pulling up any trees tomorrow, or we haven't really got many other options. And I think, why not? They can do it. We're smashing it for the under-21s. I think the under-18s are doing quite well as well this season. Why not see it?
All right. Johnny, any desire to see more youth team in the starting 11 tomorrow or in the on the bench with minutes, so the bench with access?
Listen, I love the youth. Got to be careful how I say that, like the young players. Oh my God!
Be careful, Jack. You might be asking for your number soon.
Yeah. No, listen, Dave and I follow the youth, the under-18s, the under-21s. I can't say I'm up on the under-16s. A couple of names I see coming through, but the jump between under-18s, under-21s to senior football is absolutely huge, right? We heard the clamour for Ashley Phillips to be given minutes. But if you watch Ashley Phillips for Plymouth, there's a lot that's not quite right with his game, but he's 18 years of age. He's a bit like Eric Dyer, backs off, allows the player to run onto him where he should be challenging further out. There's a lot of talent coming through from their youth. But I'm not sure right now. Jamie Donnelly, I think, is the one player who has the mindset to play given the opportunity, even if he has to play up front. I think he played about 6 positions last season, even played centre-back for the under-21s last year. I don't think, for me, Dane Scarlett is it. You know, he had issues at Portsmouth when asked to play out wide. I actually think he'd be quite good coming out playing wide, actually, and cutting in and shooting. But he had decided, he decided at Portsmouth that wasn't for him, and he had a bit to do with the coach. He's gone to Ipswich, and it's just not happened for him. Now, I think, you know, really, when you look at it, for me, if he's not going to get minutes for Ipswich, why is he good enough to get minutes for us? I'm not saying he's not going to have better support and better backup. He'll probably saying that. He'll probably get minutes. For me, Liz is a much better player. If you saw, you were at Brighton, Sean. So was I, and we were appalling. Liz came on. Suddenly, he was holding the ball up. Holding the ball.
I'll be honest, mate. I haven't seen anything from any of them. I've not seen anything from Donnelly. I've not seen anything from Scarlett. I've not seen anything from Veliz. I've not seen anything from Santiago. Well, not that he's actually played any minutes. That's why I haven't seen anything from him. But the people that have played, I don't think any of them. I know you have to give them a run. I know you have to give them a bit more time, and you can't judge them because those that have had minutes have usually had them in the last 5 minutes of games or whatever. But for me, the fact that we've got another 21 team, an under 18 team, an under 17 team that win everything and at the top of their league, their relative leagues, and they walk past players like it's Sunday league football, and then they come into the first team and they don't do anything, it's either that they're not ready, or it's that the team aren't passing the ball to them in the right areas, or they're not making the right runs, or they're just nervous. But in any event, I haven't seen any of those problems with any of Liverpool's debutants, and I think that there is that to me is a question, like why is it that Liverpool's players can come on and it's the template, the precedent, and everyone's saying play your youth. Jurgen Klopp can do it. Well, when we have done it, none of them look ready. I'm not saying they're not gonna be ready or they're not gonna be good, but they haven't. Have any of them done anything really that makes you go, wow?
They haven't. But look, what did Ange say? I thought what Ange said the other week was pretty damning.
He said that we haven't got a conveyor belt. We haven't got a conveyor belt of talent like you think we do.
This is what I was going to say. I was going to say, in my opinion, I think Klopp has kind of, like you said, Johnny, he's put his arm around the players and said, "We need you. We want you to play. You belong at this football club, and I want to see you on the pitch." I'm not having to go at Ange at all because I think he's had enough problems in the first team this season, let alone the youth. But wouldn't it be quite nice to see back your youth? Yes, they might not be up to the standard, but even some of the Liverpool players that have just gone on, I think Dams, who scored in the FA Cup, some of these players won't be good enough. But right now, they've been given the belief that they can do it. I'm telling you, the academy players won't be much worse than some of the players we're seeing right now. If Ange actually put his arm around the players and instilled a bit of belief and said, "You deserve an opportunity, let's see what you got," I'm sure we'd see a bit more confidence in these footballers. Sure, like I said, I was in your camp. I didn't think the academy players deserved to start, but kind of in a situation with the injuries we've got and kind of seeing what Klopp's done, I don't think it'd be the worst idea to kind of chuck them in the deep end and see what they do. It might actually uplift the crowd a bit and say, look, we've got youth as well.
Well, see, so what United Spurs of America is saying is something that I've been saying for a number of years about our club. When Wenger was at Arsenal, Wenger played a system. The system was being played whether you were 6 years old, 15 years of age, or in the first team. Therefore, seamless. When you're called upon to play in the team,
you're ready.
Already knows the system.
Okay, and that's fine, Johnny. That's absolutely fine. If that's right, I'm not sure if that is right. If it is, I'll take your word for it. I'll take Jacob's word for it. Absolutely fine. But we haven't done that. Therefore, our players aren't ready, right?
So what I was going to say to you was, so under Conte had absolutely zero interest in any of the kids or any of it. Didn't go watch them, didn't do anything, right? So we had all these different coaches doing their own structure. You can't have there has to be a club ethos. That has changed very much now. But I just think that we are, look, football's about opportunity.
But am I right, Johnny, or am I wrong here? Like, if the answer is why are Liverpool kids ready, but Tottenham players aren't getting the chance,
Well,
It's either because Liverpool's kids are not as good, but they're more familiar with Liverpool's system, and so they're ready tactically, even though they might not necessarily be as good as a squad or as a team relative to Tottenham. But also, just because the Tottenham 11 are good enough, a football, like a league, a table, like the under 21 or the reserve or whatever, in order to win a game of football, those players need to play. It's not all about superstars, right? It's about a team. Like a superstar doesn't win the game, a team does. And so Liverpool might have a couple of superstars that are ready, that are also prepped for the system, but then maybe the rest of their team isn't that great, which is why they're not quite competing with Tottenham in the under 21 table. Whereas Tottenham's team, haven't played the minutes in the system like that Ange wants to play. But in any event, all of that stuff is just noise. The reality is Ange is looking at that group of players when Jamie Donnelly, who has banged in goal after goal after goal and assist after assist after assist for 2 or 3 years on the 21 team, when he's come into our team this year, I haven't seen him do anything apart from a tactical foul that got a yellow card. And everyone applauded it. And I was like, yeah, fair play, you did the right thing. But he even almost missed that. He even almost kind of made a mistake there. Now, this is not me calling him out for it, because I get it. If he's not ready, he's not ready. But I'm back Ange on this. If Ange doesn't think they're ready, and every time he's put someone in, including Alejo Veliz, apart from Veliz getting the goal against Brighton, which I was happy for him, right? But apart from that, none of these guys are ready. They're not ready. Then they're not ready, in my opinion.
I just think, look, we had these injuries, and myself included, we said, what can you expect? We're terrible at the moment. We're losing all these games. We've got all these injuries, but we weren't playing 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds. We were playing our squad bloody team, right? We weren't playing, could you imagine if Tottenham were playing their youth team? And this is what I'm saying. It's all about mindset. And I think we could have a bit of an issue come the summer with players wanting to leave, because I don't believe there's enough belief in that under 21s and in those teams that there is realistically a chance of us actually.
Johnny, would you actually want? Listen, I get it. You got zoom out.
Not for the sake of it. No,
you got to consider the bigger picture. But in a world where Maddison got injured tomorrow in the 10th minute, God forbid, right? And Lo Celso's still out. If Jamie Donnelly comes on, he won't come on. But in a world where there was the option to bring him on or bring on Højbjerg instead, Angie's going to bring on Højbjerg.
Yes.
Would you want him to bring on Jamie Donnelly ahead of him?
I'd want to, but this is it. This is what I'm saying. Football is littered with stories about everything's down. We're riddled with injury, and suddenly he's forced to make a decision and play a player, right? And he turns it on and suddenly becomes good. The boy,
if he doesn't,
Mainu,
if he struggles, then it's going to be. Yes, but Ange is doomed if he does, doomed if he doesn't. If he doesn't do it, and Højbjerg comes on and doesn't play well, and everyone's going to say, why didn't you give Donnelly the chance? If you give it to Donnelly and Donnelly doesn't do it, why did you give Donnelly the chance?
But I just want him to be brave. If it's a process, then trust the process. I'm fine with the process. Like, had he played 3 at the back against Wolves and we'd lost, I would have said, you know what? Fair dues. He gave it a chance to change things up. But look, do you think Miley, Newcastle, had plans to play Miley, a 17-year-old kid? No, they didn't, right? But he was fantastic. He's come on, he's fantastic. Mainu, he was no plan for Mainu to come into the Man United team. They bought Amrabat. They had Casemiro. He wasn't getting near the bloody team, right?
Yeah. What have you seen from Jamie Donnelly when he's had the 70 minutes that he's had? Or Veliz? What have you seen that makes you think that he's going to turn it on?
I'm not saying they're Mainu. I'm not saying they're Miley. What I'm saying is these are situations that were forced onto the manager, right? Forced onto him, right? True. I mean, I don't know if you watched Leeds Chelsea the other day, right?
Yeah.
I watched Archie Gray, right, playing for Leeds. What a player. 17 years of age, right? He was strutting around that pitch like unbelievable. Unbelievable he was for like 90 minutes. If you didn't know any better, you would have thought he's a seasoned pro. So what I'm saying is sometimes you're forced
No, I know,
into...
of course. I know sometimes out of adversity comes opportunity, and sometimes this new...
Ange isn't that manager. He's not that man.
But apparently he's never had a problem with doing that stuff. I just think that when you look at when people, and I'll bring you in, Jack. Sorry, because this is supposed to be you guys battling and me just hosting, but I'm getting involved in the battle here. So I apologize. But what I'll say, Jack, is, and I'll let you take over from here, is for me the argument that look at Kobe Mainu, look at Connor Bradley, look at the people that have done it here, there, and there. Therefore, it will happen at Tottenham. Like, they're different players, different systems, different scenarios entirely, and I think that they are relevant observations or examples of situations where young players have thrived.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that that's going to happen with Tottenham. And I'm not saying that these guys are not going to do it at Tottenham. I would love it if they did, and I'm not necessarily against the idea of it. But this is the devil's advocate, and my devil's advocate here is that I haven't seen anything from any of the youth players coming in to make me have confidence that in a world where Maddison got injured tomorrow, I would feel comfortable with Jamie Donnelly getting getting the spot in the 10th minute and having to face 80 minutes against Decore.
Yeah, and I totally agree with your point, but I'm also totally agreeing with the fact with Johnny. With comes adversity, you need opportunity. And Kobe Mainu, when the United fans saw him warming up, they're probably thinking, who's this kid? We're in an absolute having a shocker of a season, and this man's going to change it around. Then all of a sudden, he's touted to be in the England squad. So at the end of the day,
look at Miley at Newcastle.
Yeah, Lewis Miley having a worldie of a season. Liverpool fans didn't rate Curtis Jones at all. Injuries, he's been fantastic for them this season. So sometimes when comes adversity, you need to give these players an opportunity. And I'm not saying that I have seen anything, Sean, because I've said to you before that I don't think they're ready. And I understand there's a pecking order. But there does come a point where you're like, right, it's now or never. And even with Pape Matar, he went on loan back to Mainz or in the French league. Metz. He wasn't playing that well, but he come back in. We didn't really see too much of him. He had a great game at the San Siro, but no one was saying he should be the first name on the team sheet this season. He started 6 games in a row, and he's been unbelievable. Yeah. So sometimes you just don't know what's going to happen, and that's why I'm thinking, look, maybe you do give these players an opportunity. Maybe Donny does deserve a start, and if it doesn't happen, then so be it. Then you're giving it a go.
So in a scenario, let's test your resilience.
Yeah.
I want to test the strength of your opinions here, boys. Yeah. Right. The first 11 tomorrow. Can we just all speculate here, and you can jump in? But let's say Vicario in goal. At right back, it's probably going to be Emerson. Centre backs are Van der Ven and Romero. Left back of Udogie. In the 6 or 8, whatever 6-8, whatever hybrid thing you're going to talk about, it's going to be Bissouma or Bentancur or Sarr, 2 of those 3, and then Maddison, and then probably, if I'm not mistaken, if you tell me if you disagree, but probably going to be Timo on the left, Sonny up top, and one of Johnson or Kulusevski. Is that reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's play hypotheticals just to see how I want you guys to hold this if this was to happen. Maddison goes down injured. Do you want to see Højbjerg come on, or do you want to see Jamie Donnelly come on?
Lo Celso.
He's not fit, is he?
He is.
Oh, he's back. He's back. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you Lo Celso or Donnelly? You want Lo Celso? Fair enough. Bang. Perfect example. Right. The right back scenario. There's a kid. I forget his name. He's come up from he's been training with the first team all week. Right. Johnny, you'll be able to help me out with his name. What's his name?
Robson.
Max Robson. Is that it? Right. Emerson goes down injured. Do you want to see Max Robson or do you want to see Dragusin?
There's no chance that Robson's coming on. I've got more chance.
But Sean, what you're alluding to.
No, wait. I just want to carry on. this experiment for a minute. Sonny goes down injured in the 2nd minute. He pulls a hammy. And I hate even saying those words, right? Do you want to see Dane Scarlett come on? Or do you want to see Brennan Johnson shoehorned up to number 9 or Timo? And do you want to see the other one of Kulusevski or Johnson come on? What do you want to
Johnson
happen?
or Kulusevski. I'll tell you the
Okay.
scenario where they
Fine.
come on.
So what are we moaning about here? We all want the same thing, though. We all want the same thing. We all agree. None of them are ready.
Sean, here's the scenario. We're 4-0 up. We're 4-0 up against Crystal Palace with 15 minutes to go, right? Do I bring on Jamie Donnelly or Captain Scarlett? Yes. Right?
Yeah, but you've seen that already happen, though.
No, we haven't. We haven't, though, Sean.
We've seen Donnelly have 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
Why did he give him
10.
minutes against Man City when we're 3-3? Why would you trust him at 3-3 away to Man City, but not trust him to have 15 minutes at home against Palace?
No, but I'm saying but you've seen it. You have seen Donnelly get minutes when we're comfortable.
Do you think so?
You've seen Donnelly get minutes even when we're not comfortable, to be entirely honest.
What's minutes? In my opinion, minutes is you're given 20, 25 minutes, someone who can grow into the game. I don't think Donnelly's given the opportunity to kind of really kind of sit in the position that he wants to play, kind of in that number 10 role, and really get his foot on the ball.
How often has Tottenham's system this year allowed us to be comfortable with 20 minutes to go?
Yeah, maybe not comfortable.
Burnley, you got to go all the way back to Burnley.
Yeah.
And after Burnley, Newcastle. The one time I said I was probably in complete agreement with you guys. And by the way, I don't disagree with your take. This is devil's advocate. I'm playing the part.
I'm not comfortable with a minute to go. What are you talking about?
But Newcastle against Newcastle, we're 4-0 up. No, 4-1 up. I forget how it went. Were we 4-0 up in that game? I forget. But we finished 4-1. In that game, there was plenty of time to be able to give opportunities, and it wasn't given. So I'll take your point there. But in most of the games that we're in, we're never that comfortable. We're never that comfortable.
But don't you think that comes back to the point that we haven't seen enough of these players to understand whether they are good enough? And we're talking about saying, oh, well, they don't look like they're good enough. There hasn't been opportunity. But now with the injuries, maybe there is opportunity to see them.
So, okay. So we're 2-1 up tomorrow. 60 minutes played. We've gone 2-0 up. We conceded one in the start of the second half.
Yeah.
Someone's looking tired on the left. Timo's not having a good game. At 2-1 when we're vulnerable, do you start to give one of these kids a chance? Do you take off a mainstream player? No. Do you feel confident? I'm asking you sincerely, not to play the game. I'm asking you sincerely now. Are you, if there is a more advanced, more mature option on the bench that can come off the bench and do something, and tomorrow there will be, then my question to you is, do we play this game that we're doing here? Do we do it in reality, or do you give the role of securing the game out, trying to re-extend the lead to 3-1? Do you give that to a Lo Celso or a Brennan Johnson or a Højbjerg or a Skip, or do you give it to a kid in a situation that's tight? Because I guarantee you tomorrow's game will not be, I don't think we'll be 4-0 up where game over.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
I don't think that Ange, I'm going to say this, and I've said it right from the off, I think it's a complete fallacy that he's all about youth, right? I was speaking to people at Celtic. Show me all the young kids that he's brought through at Celtic, right? We'll see. We'll see what happens, right?
True.
So let's see what happens. I don't believe he is that man. I think he just wants to win football games, and he's not the man who's going to really take a risk on a player unless he has to. I always just say that
before as well. He's kind of come out and said, "Well, I've won before. That's what I do." I do think he's more kind of aligned in that mindset, like you say, than kind of
the Conte winner kind of that mindset.
I'm not interested in the kids. I don't personally. I think he gives it lip service. He'll come and train, unless look, Mikey Moore for me could be a generational talent, right? You know, if you watched him play enough, and
but he's not ready for first team football at 15.
No, he's not. He's not even 17 till August, so he's a long way off, right? Tyrese Hall, I don't think he's ready either, right? He's older. I don't think he's ready either. He's a good player. But, you know, I'm not saying that these players should be coming on, Sean, and should be ripping it up and should be getting 20 minutes and 40 minutes. I'm not saying that at all. But I do feel If they're not good enough, and you really believe they're never going to be good enough, what are they doing in our academy? You know?
No, but that's the
Why
point.
there?
But they are like in the academy. My point about this whole thing, I've said it for years, is getting rid of the under-21 model. Sorry, getting rid of the reserve team model was so stupid. Because you have the under-21s where you can train your under-21s to play the same system as your first team, and you guys are all right.
Correct.
The guys in the comments are spot on. We've been doing it for 7 months, not 7 years, like Klopp.
Yeah.
And shout out to Jacob.
Correct.
Good point. But
this is what we're saying. Yeah.
But even if you do have that for 7 years, your under-21 team are still only ever going to be under-21 players, right? And and then you have to loan them out, and then you loan them out to teams that aren't obligated, even if you have relationships with them, that you're not obligating them to play the same model. And so for me, this idea that you don't have the whole removal of the reserve team football thing was a nonsense, because the reserve team football could have bridged the gap in an area where you could control the standard and the style of football that was being played, but
why
that doesn't exist anymore.
Why are Arsenal the whole of last season in the Europa League, were they constantly giving minutes to players? Well, they've done it this season as well.
When have they done it this season?
In the cup competitions, in the Carabao Cup, they've given minutes
but
to
at Tottenham, we're so starved of success. The second that we play anyone that's not a first team player in a cup competition, the fan base goes.
He made 9 changes. Look, the one thing I won't forgive him for. I'm not anti-Ange, right? I love the fact that we're all positive, but let's not forget, okay, the disrespect for that game against Fulham, right? We all went down there with expectations, wanting a cup run, and he made 9 changes. You don't make 9 changes ever and expect to win a football game, right? They're not ready. I don't believe they're all ready, but there might be 1 or 2 that are. I think Alfie Devine is probably the nearest to actually being a first teamer. Dorrington.
I think our first team. I think the problem is our first team aren't ready for Ange Ball properly yet.
Correct.
Right. I think that's the overriding arching emphasis. Ange wants his first team to master Ange Ball before he's willing to take out one of those players and put in an experiment with a youth team player. So I'd hope that if Ange Ball is going to continue for 2 or 3 more years, and I'd hope that if it continues to progress and become better, and next season will be the litmus test for that, then hopefully you have a 25-man first team squad that are all fully versed. And listen, to be entirely honest, to the very first point that you said tonight, Johnny, we're going to wrap it up soon because we've been going for 90 minutes. I always promise Johnny 60, and I always take up more time than I promise. But the very first thing you said tonight, Johnny, was there is no excuses tomorrow. Right? There's been 2 weeks.
Correct.
2 weeks. No one's had any time off. 2 weeks of pure football on the pitch to prepare for this. So if we are exposed, if we are caught short by Crystal Palace exploiting our weaknesses and us not exploiting theirs,
again,
then I think it highlights an issue with us being too insularly focused on our own game rather than worrying about the opposition, because there's 2 weeks now. We've had no football. And Ange in his comments said that that's a distraction. It's a disruption. That to me is an excuse. You have 2 weeks of pure time on the pitch, no time off. There's no excuses tomorrow. I don't care. Richarlison out of the... You know what? Richarlison being injured has not had the same reaction in the Spurs fan base as when we lost Maddison, when we lost Van der Ven, when we lost Porro, Vicaria, Udogie.
Some cheering.
It tells you that most people aren't that worried about losing Richarlison. Yep. Therefore, we've got a strong enough 11 to put our first 11 out and go for it.
Look, you know what? I always use this analogy. I've used it before. You know the one I'm going to say, right? When you say that I'm not interested in the opposition, we're going to stick to and worry about our game, I think it's foolhardy. I really do. And I've used that analogy before when you're the boxer and you're going to fight next month. Right. You know, your manager comes in. Let me show you the videos of the guy you're fighting. I'm not interested. Yeah, but he's a southpaw. I don't care. This is how I fight. This is how I'm going into the fight. I don't care what he does. I'm in there. And then you get battered, right? Why did you get battered? because you didn't realise the guy was a southpaw because you weren't interested in finding out, or you weren't interested in the fact you're charging in and the guy's got a long reach and he jabbed your head off. And I think there's a balance between understanding your opposition and making minor tweaks to counter that. Why am I, as a Sunday coach or whatever kids coach of football in my time, thinking that Wolves are going to exploit us on the flanks and going to be happy to give us the ball? And that's exactly what transpired, exactly what happened. Now, I shouldn't be able to predict that before the game. I shouldn't be able to. And that's what I'm saying. I don't ever expect the unexpected. I don't expect the unexpected in the team. When were you surprised about a team selection?
I haven't been for ages.
No, I haven't been. Yeah, never. Yeah, not for a long time.
But I love Ange, right? I do love Ange. I do love Ange.
Yeah. The twice hourly reminder.
Yeah, let's zoom out and look at the big picture, right? We're micro-analysing here. But when we zoom out, Shawnee, right? When we zoom out, right? And how the hell are we fifth, right? How the hell are we fifth, right? When we...
You know why we're fifth, mate? You know why we're fifth? Same reason
Mario.
Manchester United is sixth. It's because after the front three, everybody else is a little bit bang average. Everybody else is beatable. Everybody else on their day can beat anybody, including from fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way down. On their day, they can take on the best and beat the best. But there's too much volatility in the form of everybody from 4th to 20th to be able to rely on your potential. And Aston Villa, let's be honest, Aston Villa deserve 4th. Thus far this season, things might change, but so far this season, the team that deserves to be 4th, that has played the best football most consistently with the highest frequency, that has dominated the majority of teams that they played against, is Aston Villa. Manchester United do not deserve to be 6th. I'm not sure Tottenham deserve to be 5th, but
I think more so than the other teams around us, realistically. I think Man United, I don't know how they're in the position they are. I look at a team there still in disarray. I don't think Erik ten Hag's even installed a footballing style yet. I think they're just relying on individual quality, and they don't even have much of that. So I totally
and a lot of luck. If I looked at the league table and I saw Manchester United in 12th, I would, having watched every game that they played, I would go, about right.
I think they've been worse than Chelsea. Well, maybe I'm overstepping.
I think it's not a lot of difference. Yeah. I think the Wolves have been really, really impressive. You know, I think on their day, Brighton have been brilliant. I think West Ham on their day, first half of the season, West Ham looked really good. Yeah. Right, so there's not a lot of difference. There's really not a lot of difference because you look at every one of those teams and you just don't know on any given Saturday or Sunday, any one of those teams from Aston Villa down, but I'll even actually exclude Aston Villa from Tottenham down. Every one of those teams on their day has the capability of beating any of the other teams in that block.
Well, the proof's in the pudding. When we're talking about, we were saying, well, we probably saw a problem coming against Wolves because they can beat us because they've got a good counter-attacking style of football. That should never be happening if we're talking about Tottenham competing right at the top end of the table.
Correct.
Completely agree. Having said all that, guys, I want to hear your starting 11 and I want to hear your prediction for the game and also where people can find you. I'll say that for the last bit. Jack, starting 11 and prediction, mate.
Okay, Vicario in goal. Right back, I'm going to go for Johnny's favourite and not everyone's favourite, Emerson, because I don't think he's going to put in Dragoshin. And then I'll go Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie. Hopefully, if he's fit, he's got to play for me. In the 6, it's tricky. I'd actually go with Bentancur in the 6, I think. It's hard. You got me thinking. I haven't thought this fully through, but I'd probably go Bentancur in the 6. Maybe Sarr and Maddison in the middle. On the left, I'd go one off the left, up front, Sonny, and then on the right, Kulusevski. And I do think we'll get the job done tomorrow, but I think it'll be closer than we hope for, and it'll probably be 2-1 Tottenham.
There you go. There you go. You know what, Jack? Whilst we're doing it, let me put your. Where can people find you, mate? Where can people find you?
Come find me at Spurs Related. Our latest video is not my skill show. It is Lucas Bergval's. We've been a bit busy, me and James. I wish I could. It would be my skill show, but sadly, I'll stick to the talking. I think, albeit I back myself as an average footballer. But look, there will be.
You look a lot like him, though, mate. It's not a bad looking,
I'll
doppelganger.
take it. I've been called a lot worse. I won't say it on the programme. But Spurs related vlog tomorrow. It'll be back. I'll be at the game. I'm not sure if Sean's going to be there. I don't think you've decided yet, have you, Sean? But
I probably am. And if I am, I know Johnny's going to be there. We'll do fan cams afterwards.
And I'll tell you what, there'll be ones to tune in. We'll always have fun, and we'll come out with some decent football opinions, hopefully. But look, come over, give us some support. I'm thinking about doing a couple fun TikTok videos, maybe football day vlogs, and have a bit more personality as well in those. So look, I'll always be here on the Spurs channels, and hopefully one day a bit of mainstream TV. We'll see.
You'll be there, mate. You're absolutely made for it, my man. Johnny, starting 11.
I don't think
you better include Donnelly or Phillips or someone in there, mate.
Let me tell you something, right? I've always stood up for Emerson, but he was truly atrocious in the last game. Did you know, funny enough, statistic, the third most fouled player in the Premier League is Emerson Royal? Did you know that?
Some player.
Where do you get these statistics from?
It's the truth.
He's plucked that one out.
It's the truth.
I love it. Johnny's like, have you heard that the 17th most likely person
I'm just telling you
whose name begins with B happens to also have an E in the alphabet following a B, and that happens to be Lucas Bergval.
Jack Grealish was number 2. I'm trying to think who number 1 was. Listen, he was appalling in the first game, right? In that last game. It's the worst I've seen him play for Spurs. No two ways about it. But I have stood up for him on numerous occasions of his work across the back line. But he was poor. Personally, I don't think he can be that poor again, but we shall see. I think, again, they'll try and attack us down the flanks, AU and Tyrek Mitchell. Down the flank there, look out for the diagonal ball. I think the same team basically as Jack. I can't see a different team really, apart from I think he will start with Sarr and Basuma, and maybe bring Bentancur on for the second half with Maddison and Sonny down the middle. Timo on the dance floor on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side would be Kulu, predictability on the right. Dejan predictability, should I say. I think it will be... Yeah, Dejan predictability. I think it will be 3-1 with a late goal, but I think it's going to be quite tight. I do think they're going to score. Probably from a set piece.
Anderson.
Yeah, Anderson. And Jamie Donnelly to come. No, it'll probably be Captain Scarlett. Captain Scarlett's probably the one that's going to probably come on and get some minutes. I'd be over the moon if Scarlett comes on and bangs a goal, and then watch the fan base go, he's the new Harry Kane. When Harry Kane was 21, no one thought he had
Harry Kane's coming back.
He was at Orient.
The next Harry Kane is going to be Harry Kane, by the way. That's going to happen.
Tell you.
Can you see it, Sean? Is that worth a tenner, are you saying? Can you actually realistically see that?
I can realistically see Harry Kane coming back to Tottenham 100%.
And I'll tell you what, I would love that.
It's all gone to shit tonight again. As they draw with Schweinberg.
2-2, wasn't it?
No, it's good time. It's good time in I really enjoyed Munich, but I come back home and obviously it's time for me to get the record and bag in some goals. I think he's going to do it. I think
he's our man. He's our man at heart. Come on, Harry. Come on.
He's going to come back. Come home, Harry. Come home.
Poor old Eric Dyer, man. I mean, he's caddying for Kane on the golf course, and he actually got a game of football again tonight. They must be they must be killing themselves.
He's doing well. Eric Dyer's doing well over there, and I, for one, am delighted for the guy.
He's not doing well. Sure, come on. He's not doing well. They played Freiburg tonight, right? Who concede goals for fun, right? And I think they've got minus 11 goal difference before tonight. They've drawn 2-2 away. Helmut Schmidt, what's his name? Herr Flick. How Herr Flick is still in the job, I don't know. Because he should be gone. And don't ever come to Spurs. Could you imagine had we got Thomas Tuchel? There was many fans wanting Thomas the Tank Engine to come to Spurs. Could you imagine if he'd have turned up at us? Oh my God, I think we'd be hanging ourselves by now.
I don't know. I might disagree with you.
I've got to be honest. I was all for a bit of Thomas.
I think Thomas Tuchel's a good manager.
I don't mind him.
I think he's a really good manager.
But I love Ange, and I'm here for the project.
But we love Ange. Hashtag all that said. But I love Ange.
He's our man.
So wait, what was it? So Jack, you said 3-0, didn't you? Was it 3-0?
I said 2-1, but 3-0, 4-0, whatever you like.
You said 2-1, and what are you saying, Johnny?
3-1, late goal to make it
3-1. Right, I'm also going for 3-1 Tottenham, but I think it's going to be squeaky bum time. I don't think there's anything such thing as a good game, but I actually think that Glasner playing his expensive football is going to be to our betterment. I think that if it was a Roy Hodgson scenario, I think we'd struggle more than if it was a Glasner thing. So I'm happy to see Glasner in. I hope he really tells the boys to spread your wings, boys, and go for it. I think that will suit us. But I'm going to go for, and I don't think that I echo what Jack said right at the start of the show. I don't think Palace have got enough threat up the top end, even with Eze back. And I think having Eze back, having Eze back allows Crystal Palace the temptation to seek him out too often, and then we can curtail it. So I'm going to go for Vicario, Emerson, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie. I'm going to go. I think he's going to play Bentancur in the 6. Sarr. I think Basuma's dropped. Maddison on the left. It's dance floor time. On the right, it's Dejan Predictasevsky, and it's going to be Sonny up the top. But Sonny's going to score a banging brace tomorrow. So if he's in he's not in my FPL team, but he should be.
He's in mine. Transferred
well
in.
done. There you go. Guys, we're going to, but we love Ange.
Big question.
That's the new catchphrase of this channel. But we love Ange.
But we love Ange. Before you go, right? More importantly, what will Glasner be wearing tomorrow? Will he be in a certain tie, or will he be in his Canada Goose?
No. I'm telling you, he's bringing out the Stoney tomorrow. I can feel it.
Stoney,
all black Air
definitely
Forces
Stoney
on the sideline.
No,
I tell you,
yeah,
he might even have one of Sean's caps. We'll see.
He's a stylish git, stylish man. 100%. Guys, listen, I want to say a massive thank you. It's been a wonderful show. Friday night, we managed to get Devil's Advocate out. We squeezed it through this week. It's usually on Tuesdays at midnight.
Cheeky
midday.
9, a cheeky 60. A cheeky
60's turned into a cheeky 102. Get over to the Spurs. Get over to Johnny on Twitter. And your link is in the title. It's also in the description. I've also put it out a few times. I'll put it out again right now. And make sure you also go over to Spurs Related. His link will be in the description afterwards as well. And guys, I want to say a massive thank you to you guys. And we'll see you both. I'll see both of you tomorrow at the game. 90% I'll be there, but there might be a chance I won't be. And I want to say everybody else, you know what you got to do. I haven't asked you once the entire show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and all that jazz. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. As always.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. And we love Ange.
Come on, Ange.
But we love Ange.